Welcome to On The Sidelines, the show that discusses sports and how sports intersects our lives. I'm your host, Paul McGrath, and I am glad that you can join us for this show. Many of us do not go south for the winter or for part of the winter, but we do look forward to the coming of spring and good weather. For many, it is the beginning of the baseball season in April and the eternal hope that the Boston Red Sox may have a victorious season. But for many of us, it is the hope that there will be an early start to the golf season here in Westborough. I am pleased to have join us on the sidelines the two people that make the golf season here in Westborough so thoroughly enjoyable. From the Westborough Golf Course, I am pleased to welcome PGA golf professional Matt Griffith and Superintendent of Grounds Mike Hightower. Gentlemen, welcome to On the Sidelines.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. I think we're ready to for the golf season, but before we get to the golf season, let's give our viewers a little background on who you are, where you came from, and how you got here. And Matt, we'll start with you.
Well, I came into golf late. I wasn't like most golf pros that played golf as a little kid, and I didn't start playing golf till I was 18. I got a full ride to play baseball in college, hurt my shoulder, got a job as a cart kid, and fell in love with the golf business. So I started hitting golf balls, I got a coach, and I turned pro at 19. And I've been a golf pro ever since.
You didn't start until you were 18?
Yeah,
and
I
you
turned
were
pro at 19.
18? 19?
Yeah.
So what's the quick elevator to become a pro in a year? I mean,
I hit 3,000 to 4,000 balls a day and played golf till dark. I was in Myrtle Beach, so I didn't have anything better to do.
is that where you grew up? Or
No, I grew up in Virginia. Yeah, very small, about the size of this room, actually, the whole county.
Yeah.
And then I went to college at Coastal. So I went to Coastal to play baseball, and then didn't play baseball because I hurt my shoulder, and then started playing golf. And then there it goes. I've been a golf pro ever since. You know, I built golf courses down there. Then in 2006, I got burned out in Myrtle Beach, picked a spot on a map and moved one day and came up here. No job, no friends, no nothing. Slept on somebody's couch, got a job at a Dick's Sporting Goods in Seekonk.
This sounds like a golf pro movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like every golf pros.
Yeah.
They always sleep on a couch.
At some point, you're going to be on a couch. Yeah. Then I got the job at Blissful Meadows in Uxbridge, and I was there for 7 years. Then went to Whitensville, and now I'm at Westborough.
Westborough.
Yeah.
Wow. Quite a road.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've done a lot. I've been lucky.
Is your road as exciting, Mike? Or how?
I actually almost went to Clemson, too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I got accepted to go into their turf program.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying you're into me.
Yeah, I didn't know whether I was going to go the superintendent side or the golf pro side.
You know, they accept anyone.
I know, pretty much.
As long as you can pay the full tuition with no
I-
financial aid, they're like,
I doubt I could do that.
yeah, okay. Yeah, my road, I don't remember my road. Jeez, I feel like I've been in Westborough forever.
Did you grow up in Westborough?
No, I grew up in Connecticut. I started playing golf as a probably 11, 12-year-old. Put my bikes on my clubs on my back, and I'd bike up the hill to the local golf course. And same thing, I played, till dark every day. My friends would be out there rooting the superintendents. I would be early mornings hitting balls at workers, and so I grew up doing that. Played high school golf, and then I got into maintenance probably as a junior. In high school.
In high school,
yeah. And it was a blast. I mean, it was all of the, maybe I was a sophomore, but like, I remember all the kids that went to college were working at the course, so it was like hanging out with them. And
Yeah, so it was a summer job for you?
Summer job, but it was fun. Yeah, so...
So summer job, you got paid, plus you got to play golf.
Huh? And I got to hang out with the
not-
college
not bad.
kids.
Not a bad deal.
Girlfriends, yeah, so it was awesome. Yeah, so college at Clemson, 4-year degree there, and then I worked at some pretty nice courses during that time, during my summers. And I went to Green Hill right out of college, actually, got the superintendent job over there, which wasn't a great job, but I realized shortly after I got it why they hired a kid right out of college, because I didn't have, the wherewithal to know what a bad job was. So I took that job, grounded out for several years, bought out the company I was working for, and I'm a contractor, right? So I bid on Westborough and started doing some athletic field stuff kind of all at the same time when I bought the company out. And yeah, I've been in Westborough for 21 years, maybe. Something like that. I don't know.
So you went
22
to
years,
you went to
probably
you went to
26.
Clemson.
Yeah.
So is there a program for
Yeah,
greenskeeping?
Oh, yeah,
There
yeah.
is.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have one of the
absolutely,
best
yeah.
in the nation.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
So you went there specifically because
Yeah,
they had that
to
program.
be a golf course superintendent. That's what I knew I wanted to be a superintendent. Partly because my club didn't have a pro. So I didn't even know that like you could be a club pro. I mean, what is nothing pro? I mean, it's just a sweet gig, right? Like,
Well, I don't know about that, but
yeah.
we can talk about that after.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
you
know
get
what I
to
mean.
sleep
You know
in
what I mean.
cars and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, sleep. Yeah. I could sleep on a couch. I could have done
Couch,
that.
yeah, whatever.
It's easy.
Yeah, so I did that, and I've been at Westborough ever since, and it's been ups and downs and all kinds of peaks and valleys, but we've worked hard through it. And
I think you certainly have. Now, we're going through the winter. What do we do in the winter? I mean, do we keep our eye on the course? I've heard pros and cons. There's an argument, or it used to be, do I cover the greens? Do I not cover the greens? What happens in the winter? We're getting ready, but what happens in the winter? What do we do?
Sure. So what happens in the winter? We break down all of our equipment and get it ready for the season. We do tree work. If we have any projects to finish up on the course, we might do that. And just a lot of planning, a lot of videos, a lot of trying to keep up with technology and stuff like that. So I do a lot of webinars and things like that, so that we're ready for the season. And then just kind of think about what we did, and then think about what we're going to do to do a better job, basically. There's, especially early in my career, I would reinvent everything I was doing every year, which made it hard to figure out like what worked, because sometimes it takes a few years for things to kind of settle in. So as I've gotten older, I've become a little bit more patient with our process, and I just kind of make some subtle tweaks. We've also got it dialed in pretty good. So,
What about covering the greens?
okay, covering the greens. Yeah, so
I've been at places that did both.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it all depends on your whole program. Your whole turf program for the season, whether or not you want to cover. That's what superintendents have told me in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's really it's regional, right? And it's also, there's a lot of micro environments on everybody's golf course. And there's also different budget restraints, right? So, like a high-end private club in Newton, maybe they want to cover the greens because they're going to come out and aerify in late March because they don't open their golf course till April 20th, right? So they might cover all winter, and they also keep a staff of maybe 6. So what they'll do is when it gets warm, like right now, they take the covers off in the morning, and they might put them out at night. If it's going to be 35, they might not put them out at night. So permeable covers are something that really should be managed pretty intensely. And we really don't keep us, I keep one guy on with me. And I have people I can call in to help out, but we're not in a position to take the coverage on and off. And we were doing that for a time, trying to keep up with it, but it doesn't really work that well. And then, of course, coming out of the spring, you have to do that as well. You have to take them off during the day and put them back on at night. And we've done that. Towards the end of us, because we used covers for probably 15, 16 years, and it was more of a political thing because they had been used all along. I think my 3rd year, I tried to stop using them because I don't believe in using them, and we lost one of our greens due to low temperature kill, our 5th green. So, like, the members were like chanting in the bar room to bring back the old superintendent. All this stuff.
Oh,
I'm like,
gosh.
you know what? I'll just put the covers on. You want covers? You got covers. No problem.
You're
So
like
then-
an umpire sometimes. You can't win, man.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah.
what
So-
you do. But, we had this past winter, one Saturday it was like 0, and all of a
Yes.
sudden we're up to 60 degrees. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
Right,
the
and I can still
flowers
see
are
the
coming up.
impact of
You've got to
that.
manage all this.
Yeah, I can still see the impact of that with the greens. I mean, they really went extremely dormant during that
Yeah,
time.
I've
They took
noticed.
a little bit of damage from that extreme cold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just kind of, tips and leaves, stuff like that. Not
It'll
too
grow
bad.
out pretty quick.
Should grow out, yeah. So Covers, good for extreme low temperature and high winds, desiccation, stuff like that, which we don't really see in this region.
Yeah.
And whether they help coming out of the spring, I can see them hurting many times. Back in 2014, we had extreme warm-up 65 degrees in like January, and we took the covers off, and the greens were, there's nothing really green here, but extremely green.
Ready to
Like,
go.
oh my gosh, I would have had to mow them, like double cut them, right? So it got cold again, we put the covers back on, but that complete break in dormancy predisposed them to winter kill. And we got, ice and cold weather after that, and they died. The sixth green in particular, we took significant damage on that green, had to resod. So, and that was a direct result of covering them, So I think that it's permeable covers for us just doesn't work.
Kind of let nature take its course.
Yeah, that was a really long answer. I shouldn't have had a coffee.
I warned you.
I know.
All right. Well,
All we're seeing is blue and gray, like shaking.
many of the members don't know the equipment or what goes in because hopefully a lot of it. But you guys must get there 5:30 in the morning. Your crew.
Yeah.
And you're out there.
Yeah, they get going early. Yep.
So let's take a look at some of this. And I don't know if this equipment has a name to it or what it does, but it looks like almost like it's got its flaps up, ready to take off. What have we here?
Sure. Yeah, this is our fairway mower.
Regular fairway mower.
Yeah, it's got 5 of those reels on it. It's got an 11-foot wide cut. And you can see those reels, basically they spin really quickly, and then there's a blade underneath those reels that the reel spins and it actually catches the grass between the blade and the reel, and it's kind of like a scissoring action. So when you have really low cut turf, it gives a really nice clean cut versus a rotary, which most people have, but it kind of blasts the grass, high speed, sharp knife to kind of blast it.
Now, are those interchangeable? Could you use that like for the rough, change the blades, or is this
but
strictly
because there's scissoring action there, when you have in the rough, sometimes it gets maybe we cut it at 2 inches and it might get to 3 inches before we cut it. Okay, so if it gets to a full 3 inches and there's rollers that have to roll over it, right? You have 2 rollers, you can see front and back, and then the reel with the thing. So if that grass is long enough, the roller will roll it over and it won't spring back up in time to get caught in that scissoring action. So you can use it for rough. In the old days, that's what we used to use, similar machines for rough. But you really can't let it get ahead of you, because once you do, you're just rolling the grass over, and you go over it, and it doesn't cut a thing. And
how often do you sharpen the blades?
well, we use a couple different ways to sharpen them. One is to just spin the blades backwards, and we put like a grit in there, which will have the trailing edge when you're turning it backwards will get sharpened, right?
Okay.
So that when you spin it forward, you rinse all the grit off and spin it forward, that'll be a sharp edge again. Both the knife and the reel will have sharp edges. So that's kind of a tune-up that we will do. And ideally, we never do that if we're doing everything, if we're adjusting it just right all the time and we don't have any debris in the fairways and stuff like that. But once we start hitting divots and divot mix and hitting golf.
It'd be great without golfers, wouldn't it? Just always making divots.
So we'll do that as needed, maybe once or twice, and then at the end of the year, well, again, it's all dependent on what might happen. We could hit a sprinkler head or something that we have to, but usually at the end of the year, we take them all apart, and then we have a grinder that we grind the reels and put new bed knives on and grind all that up.
So I suppose, Matt, you probably in the pro shop may hear, the fairway hasn't been cut, or the rough is too deep. Who decides? Do you talk to Mike, or how do you decide when it's going to be cut? Or
that's all Mike's baby.
That's all Mike. So we complain to you.
No, you complain to me, then I'll complain to Mike.
You complain to Matt, and Matt says, okay, sure. And then he doesn't tell me about it, most importantly.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about the rough is deep between 8 and 9.
I know what to tell Mike when.
Yeah. So the rough is long in certain spots, and sometimes we use chemistry to control growth, but it's never really that long. I mean, some people might argue that, right? Sometimes on a Sunday it'll get long, right? Because we'll cut Friday. But we always hit the make sure we hit the fastest growing areas last on Friday. Assuming it doesn't like pour Friday and then we're scrambling on a Saturday or whatever to get it done. But it just gets thick. It's very thick, right? So it's very thick in the spring.
But it's like Pete Dye always told me, don't hit it there.
That's the easy answer.
I know that Pete
Yeah.
Dye, he was the king of that because obviously his golf courses are not easy with all the waste areas.
Yeah.
He and I were riding around a golf course in Myrtle Beach, and he was he was asked, why do you put all these waste areas? He's like, shouldn't hit it there.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Right.
All
Golf's an
let's
easy game, Mike.
Excuse me. Let's try another one here. See what we have here. And, well, this is probably, I don't know what the equipment is, but the person standing there is probably maybe sometimes more important than the equipment. Yeah, he
is very important. That's
Yeah.
Paul. He's
Yeah.
been with me since 2000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
remember
fortunate to have a lot of good
when we took the
long-term
picture, he
employees.
said he had his training at Pleasant Valley, which is not a bad course to have some training.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, he grew up right next to Pleasant Valley.
Oh, he did,
He's like
yeah.
a legend in Sutton.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you live in Sutton, you know Paul
Yeah.
Dodge. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's no, he's a great guy. He has a 4-year degree from UMass in arboriculture, but took some turf classes. He's been, he does the same thing that I do, where we do some, webinars and we try to keep up with, industry stuff. He's runs that spray tank. As well as he does all the mechanical work for us. And his degree is in like arboriculture, so he's great with tree work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the one scouting the course for hazards, with tree hazards.
Now, what is that machine doing?
So that's our spray tank, right?
Yeah.
So
How many gallons is that?
It's a 300-gallon tank,
Wow.
and it's got that machine's pretty new, and it's very new technology. Where it's got a little mixing station in the back, so we put all of our chemistry in a mixing tank, and then it gets really mixed well into the tank. It's all satellite controlled, so we'll map out an area, and then we just drive over the area, and it turns the nozzles on and off as needed.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's great because it produces a map too. So I've had times in the past where we don't have that mapping system, and I'll have specific areas on the greens, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll try to talk to the staff. Hey, did you happen to have a skip on the putting green or the 6th green, or was there an overlap? Oh no, everything was great, Mike. And it's like, okay. So now I can go back in that map for the day. I know what chemistry we use, and then I can see there's a big red mark. That means there's an overlap, or if for some reason that the machine, the rear, the center boom sometimes will overlap a little bit too much, because that's controlled as one unit, and all the other nozzles are controlled individually. So there might be an overlap there, or there'll be a skip. And I know if a certain area didn't get that chemistry, I know what I'm now looking at on the green. Because there's a lot of different things that can go wrong.
I can imagine.
And
It's like the
when you introduce, or when you can kind of eliminate human error from at least that piece of the equation, just
That's
make it all
huge.
my human error, then I know, like, all right, I screwed that up, I know about
Yeah.
it, right? So it's a tremendous tool.
Now,
so it's been great
is
for
that
us.
an app on your phone, or is it an app? Do you have it built into
No,
the
there's
machine?
a
How-
screen
right in the
and when
cab
you're
there?
driving, you can just kind of follow the screen, make sure you're lined up. It'll tell you got to move a foot left or a couple or 3 inches to the right.
Oh, wow.
as
Sounds
you're
like no
driving.
excuses to me, Matt. Right? I mean,
Well, that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah. Well,
to
last year,
minimize
I think last
mistakes.
year, my own
I mean-
opinion, is last year was a tough year. It seemed like it was like a drought, and the course was
Like a drought? I think it was a
Well,
drought.
it was a drought. And the course was in great shape.
I-
my own opinion.
Well, drought's great because we can control. I mean, agronomically, it's great because I can control the moisture, right? I can control how much water every area gets and when it goes down. When you have a lot of rain, it can rain at 2:30 on a Friday afternoon when it's 92 degrees, and then it goes away, and then at 3:15 it's 95 degrees again, or 92
Yeah.
degrees,
The sun is-
and
yeah, we
then
did
that will destroy root systems and turf like instantly. If you're not quick, or if you let it puddle, it's so having control over it is great. It makes our job easy because we don't have to deal with Mother Nature, which can be the most deleterious part of
And she always wins.
maintaining.
Yeah. She knows
does,
best.
except for last year, we got the best of her.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say though. I don't think that.
I know, this year was
You
great.
don't want to taunt.
I know. Yeah,
All
we got
right.
rough burnt out, but
Let's
it was,
try another one here. What do we have
Oh.
next? All right.
Okay, that's our greens mower. Yeah, we got
Oh,
that new.
I see, yeah.
This was our second year using it. That's a great mower. Some good technology there, where the reels will articulate on this unit versus being fixed on some of the older units.
yeah.
Articulating is great because we have a lot of undulation on our greens, especially on the perimeters.
Yeah, is
So
that
when
where
we
you used to
do
get
our-
like scalping on some?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this, I mean, we still can get it because it's not a full, 360 kind of movement. It's a little bit side to side and a little bit up and down, right? But so it'll still get caught occasionally. But like when we do our perimeter passes around the greens, it's nice because it can roll with that terrain a little bit better and it scalps less. And it's great. It's been an awesome machine for us. Lots of power, 3-wheel drives. We can manage our slopes a little bit
Yeah,
easier.
because we do have a lot of them on
We
the
do
edges
on
there.
the backs of the greens.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's wet, it's brutal. We have to have we really have specific patterns that we follow when we mow, because if we go kind of straight off the back edge of a green, we'll just slide right down the hill into a rock wall. And that's
I've seen that many times,
oh
unfortunately.
my gosh!
Right.
That spray
Yeah.
tank we had, our first maybe third time out that happened, we got it stuck against a rock wall. I was losing my
Yeah, 'cause
mind.
it's not like
that
there's
was not
grip
a
on those
cheap
tires.
machine. Yeah. It doesn't matter when you're on a
Well, yeah,
35-degree slope and it's wet.
Yep, you're
Yeah.
done.
How often would you cut the greens?
We cut the greens every day.
Do you really? Yeah.
That's a typical member response. You don't
Well,
know
no,
how many
really.
times we'll
I-
be driving,
yeah.
like the machine will just leave the green. And they'll be like, "Did you cut the greens today?"
Do I need to leave for a little bit on
I
this
just
one?
cut the greens.
Now,
I got
how
greens every day.
to get really technical, way over my head.
Sure.
The snip meter.
Sure.
Do we use it? I mean, what do we try? Do we try to keep it at a certain level?
I used to really rely on the snip meter.
Now,
I use
let's
it a
tell
lot.
some people what a snip meter is. Just to,
Yeah.
Right. So
I
it's
sound like I know what I'm talking about.
right. The snip meter is a stick with a slot cut in it. Yeah. You put a golf ball in the slot and you
High tech.
lift it up.
Yeah.
And then when it just starts to roll out of the slot, you stop, and it rolls down the stick, or rolls down the little board, and it rolls a certain distance. And how far that is the number on the snip meter. So
That's
you
the
roll.
high-tech snip meter.
That's it. Yeah. So you roll 3 balls one way, try to find a flat spot, and then you roll 3 balls the other way and take an average.
Well, that's one thing. There's not a lot of flat spots at Westborough.
There's not a lot of flat spots.
You know, to
right?
get a true snip meter reading, it's tough.
Yeah. So, but I mean, within a couple of few
yeah.
inches. Yeah. But I got away from using that probably 4 or 5 years ago. I just had I don't want to give too much insight, but I had a talk with a superintendent at a private club, and he's just, helped me kind of define what our goals really should be at Westborough, and I don't think that involves a snip meter. Basically, we do.
I think it's true. True greens and consistent greens
we
are
try
better
to
than a
get
snip meter green.
Consistent is
Yeah.
a big
We
word.
want them running at a certain pace, and I know the type of maintenance we need to do to keep them running at that speed, because the greens are an important defense of some of our holes.
Oh, no question.
If you don't have good green speed on the 6th hole, you can just eat it up because the undulation there is the only defense of that hole.
Yep.
So I personally like fast greens. I don't know. I just grabbed myself like that. That's strange.
Sometimes it just needs to be done.
I know, right? I like fast greens, and I think the golf course plays much better when the greens are quick.
All right, well, let's get off the green. What's next here?
Just a utility cart. That's vintage too. You can see it's got the headlight taken out
That's
of it
brand new, isn't it?
for better ventilation into the steering column there. So that's just a utility
A little
cart.
upholstery work there, yeah.
Yeah,
It's experience.
Got to get some tape on that. That is a 22-year. I bought that my first. That's my first purchase.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You hate to give it up, huh?
Well, it runs. So and we have enough duplicity, I guess. I have enough vehicles that I can. If that breaks down, I've got other carts that I can use. So. It doesn't break down a lot, but we have backups. So I just keep that one going, and it's been great for us. We use that to tow our greens roller. That's kind of our cups and greens roller guy who drives that around.
Okay, following you now. There we go. Now
There's our reel grinder.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that we grind our fairway reels. We grind all of our reels.
So
at the end of the year.
the cutter that we saw, you take those off and use this?
Yeah.
It's like a hockey player, I guess. You know, you need a good sharpener.
You need a good yeah.
You gotta have an edge.
Gotta have an edge. Yeah, exactly.
So how old's this baby? You've had this a while? Or?
I don't know how old it is.
Yeah.
We actually got that a couple of years ago. Somebody had picked it up at an auction.
Yeah.
And they sat on it for a while, long enough to basically give it to us for free. You know?
Oh, that's good.
And so we had one that was probably from the 80s. We replaced it with this. So it's got some good technology. You can see all the buttons on there. You just kind of set it up and let it do its thing. Yeah, but you got to set it up properly. That's the only catch there. Yeah. So this is that's our old greens mower, and it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but those reels on the front are they're fixed. They're fixed at 2 points, so they will kind of go up and down a little bit, but they won't articulate side to side, and they don't articulate kind of front to back as well to ride the slopes quite as nicely as our new one. So we use that on our tees and the kind of collars or areas around the green. Yep.
Now, a little story Paul was telling us when we took the pictures is you can't quite see it, but to one of these it says gas and one of it says oil, and apparently one day somebody couldn't read gas and oil, and Paul had to make a quick surgery. So no matter how tech you get, gas and oil can't mix.
They don't mix.
They don't mix.
They don't mix.
But the machine works. So there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a sod cutter,
Yeah.
sod stripper, right? So that will, there's like that big wheel goes straight across in the middle of the machine, and then there's a blade that kind of shakes and vibrates. So you set the blade to be beneath the grade of the, lower than the grade of the wheel. The wheel drives it along, and the little blade cuts up the sod, cuts to whatever depth you want, to about 1.5 inches deep. So we use that a lot on projects. When we're going out to start a project, we'll strip up all the sod, and then a machine or like an excavator will come strip it off and get rid of it, and then we can kind of work with the soil. It allows us the opportunity to kind of reuse the soil a little bit easier. Yeah, you can't really use it if you get this turf mixed in there.
Okay, and there's Paul again. He's proud of this machine.
Yeah, so that's our that's just a freestanding blower. We tow that around with a cart, and it's great because it can get into small areas. It's got a lot of power, and we can even run that at certain times. We run that over the greens because it's light enough.
Well, you use it to blow the leaves away, right?
Use it to blow
I mean,
the
this year
leaves.
I
We
thought
use
was
it
a
to
great
blow-
year for forget about the leaf rule because you blew the leaves away.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
the leaf rule. Well, forget the leaf rule. You get the leaves away.
I feel like that's every year we do. We
Yeah.
really focus on doing a good job with leaves. I mean,
Yeah.
I play golf and it's miserable. You hit your,
Yep. That's
you
the
go a
fairway
little
by a foot.
offline and you can't find your ball. That's not excusable in my opinion. So we do the best we can. We get the course as clear as we can in the mornings, and then sometimes by afternoon it's completely covered.
Yep.
Well,
There's not much you
If
can
there's
do.
wind, you don't know.
Yeah. But we use that actually to blow sand off the greens during the aeration process too. That's why we go on the greens with it. So.
Talking about getting a little frustrated, I think Matt and I spoke about this. You hit a great drive, or you think it's a great drive down the middle, and it ends up in a divot. Oh.
Okay.
And I think we're talking about, should there be a local rule that if it's in a divot, you can take it out? And
Yeah,
can
which
you-
I
can you
always do.
address that?
Yeah, every course I've ever been at, I make that a local rule. And now you can't do it on your own. You have to make sure that your group agrees with it.
Well, that's
So
what
you're
I was
not
going to
just-
say. Are you
Oh, no,
a
that's, yeah, it's
But
a
that is a
little spot
local
then.
rule at Westborough, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Started when I took over
Yeah.
a year and a half ago. Just because I don't think it's a very fair rule.
Yeah.
Ground under repair, it's basically a divot is ground under repair. It's a section of turf that will grow back, and I just don't think you should ever be punished for hitting something in the fairway.
Well, you should, especially if it's a halfway decent shot.
Well, yeah.
But-
I mean,
So
roughs I don't care about.
So
You can-
you made up that local rule.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have authority? I mean, are you the
I'm
man?
all powerful.
You're all powerful. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear.
That's great. He's not there on Mondays. So on Mondays, I make you hit it out.
you're the all-powerful.
Yep.
You got to hit it out of your
Monday, Mike is all powerful.
Yeah.
No, but I can actually make any local rule that I can deem necessary. Whether it's lift, clean, in place, or if I want to say one section is red staked instead of yellow. USGA has now given the golf courses a lot more leniency to kind of mark the golf course the way, set it up the way that you want it. So they're slowly smartening up. Yeah. But the divot rule, I still remember the Payne Stewart shot at. It was in California, U.S. Open. He hit it right down the fairway in the middle. I think he was only one shot back, sitting in a divot, couldn't even get it on the green, and he lost the U.S. Open. You should never be punished for hitting a good shot. Yeah.
So how about on the divot, you replace a divot, or you pour, replacement seed into it, plus minus everyone says, no, you should pour the seed. No, replace the divot. Well, you have to do something. Any pluses
I
and
want to go
minuses?
back to the other one. I think that you occasionally should be penalized for hitting a good shot. That's just part of the game. It's part of, I think, the mentality I grew up with as a golfer is that you can do your best. You can do exactly what you wanted, but sometimes it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, and I definitely
golf
get
has
that.
changed a lot, and I can see why it's moving, but I did really like that part of the game and the kind of the humility that teaches you as a golfer. Like, oh, I did a great shot and it didn't work out. Well, guess what? Try to hit another great shot.
And in strict competitions,
but that doesn't happen anymore, and that's fine. But that was part of like the challenging part of golf is you do the best you can, but it doesn't always work out.
I know, but
also, people who are paying $25, $50 to play a course,
right?
They don't want to hear that. Well, they want to hit a good shot and then move on and hit another. Be rewarded. So
what about the guy should replace the divot? Should replace. I mean,
the
that's
divots.
courtay.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty gross to just hit, take a big whale and make a mess and then just walk off.
Make another mess, sure. No.
But it's like walk off as if, whatever.
So what do you think?
There's always some.
Replace it, pour the seed. Any preference?
If you have, it depends on the time of year.
Yeah.
If you're in a cool, wet time of the year, you can replace the divot and it's going to grow back just fine. It's kind of like putting sod down at your house. Yeah. You're not going to put sod down in July, right? Because it's going to burn up, and we don't water those specific divots, with a watering can. It makes twice a day. So, June, mid-June, right through till probably mid-August, sand seed's best. But if you don't have that, then just throw the divot back in. Just don't
do something.
And then, whatever, just make an effort, basically.
I don't know what
That's an aerator. That's our aerator. Yeah,
Okay.
the sunlight just...
That's the tool that golfers hate. That is
so not really.
Yeah, well, yes and
So
no.
we spike a lot with that. So every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll go out and spike. And so we'll use like basically a 1/4-inch steel spike that we just drive into the ground, probably 2.5 inches deep. And we call that venting. So it just kind of introduces some air into the profile. And it kind of freshens the turf a little bit. So we'll do that on, usually we pick a Monday every 2 to 3 weeks. And then we roll after that, and the greens roll beautifully. Actually, when we do that, that disturbs the surface enough and softens it, where our roller kind of smooths everything out, pushes it all together. And it's, so in those cases, it's good.
Yes.
But when we take giant, 5/8 inch cores out of the greens, like that.
That's when I get yelled at.
Yeah. That's when you
can get yelled at
when you need
anytime,
that
man.
big
No,
ball.
that's actually a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a day that ends in Y, right there.
That's you. Yeah. So
except for Monday, yeah.
So, but that's a great tool. That's an awesome aerator in particular. It keeps all the cores and everything. All the wheels are inside the path of the aerator, which is great because I'm not mashing the cores that we just hold up with wheels. So it allows for good quick cleanup. It's 3-wheel drive, so it can handle our slopes really well, and it's got a lot of functionality to it. Tons of depth settings and tine options. So That's an old machine too. We bought that in 2004. That's one of my favorite purchases. So it's been great.
That thing's in great shape.
So one of the complaints is, why did they aerate today? I mean,
Why didn't they aerate when the other guys played?
I know, exactly.
how often do we aerate? Does it depend on the season and the weather?
I will typically plan a full aeration of all the greens twice a year. With using the 5/8 inch cores. If we have problem greens or problem areas, I will aerate as needed. If the area is strong enough and ready to recover from an aeration. Sometimes an area might be so weak you can't even aerate it. Yeah. And I've seen golf courses say we're aerating August 15th and the greens are on the edge, and they go out and kill it with the aerator.
Yeah.
So it can be
You just can't give a
tool
specific date.
of destruction. Yeah, you have to have plants that are going to be stimulated by the aeration rather than destroyed by it. So twice a year, and other areas as needed. There's a lot of mow out area, like areas where we expanded the greens. You'll see me out there aerating those areas more frequently to kind of get them caught up with the rest of the green surface. It's usually a 2 to 5 year process to get an expanded area caught up with the rest of the green, so it doesn't, die out on you every summer. But then like I said, we vent 2 to 3 weeks. That's a great tool.
Okay, and I don't know. Oh,
That's the sand trap rake.
sand trap.
Yeah. So we use this in our bigger traps. It's got some rakes in the back there. We just go in and drag the rakes around, get a little plow in the front where some of our slopes will wash out. And we use that plow to push the sand up into the face of the bunker and smooth it out by hand after. We do I would say probably most of our traps we rake by hand, but the bigger ones we use that.
I would say probably one of the biggest complaints that I hear of any golfer from any course, anywhere, is the consistency of sand in any course. I mean, I don't care where you go, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
And
You said I can interrupt, right?
well, you can
Talk
interrupt.
about the least consistent human beings on the planet. You think their swing is consistent every time? That's what's inconsistent.
Well,
Are you hitting the ball in an inch and a half behind the ball every single time? Right? No.
Negative.
Right. Well, yeah, this one's really inconsistent. I hit my ball 70 yards out of this green side trap.
But I didn't take a divot.
It's because you hit the ball first.
Yeah.
I know.
how often do we replace? Do you replace the sand once a year, twice a year? Depends
Well, we
on.
don't replace it generally. We add to it.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
It finds its way out of the trap one way or another. Whether it's shoveled out with people's sand wedges, or a lot of times it just blows out of the trap. But yeah, I mean, we have to add to it, and we use either the exact same sand or a sand that has passed the same specs. It's all screened.
Well, I
to a
read an
certain
article.
certain
There's
ratios.
particles
Oh,
and
no,
crust
here
in
we
this.
go.
and-
Particle
You read it?
distribution,
Yeah, all
absolutely,
this stuff.
and particle shape,
Yeah.
right? Some are rounded, which is going to give you more of a beach sand, and then some are more angular. But if it's too rounded, then you get fried egg lies, right? So you have to have the right mix of angular sand versus round sand. I mean, we're at 38 minutes in. Do people really want to hear this, right? But we try to use the same sand. It's going to be less consistent sometimes when it's really wet, right? Moisture
That's
is
the
going to
biggest
have a
thing, yeah.
factor.
That's when you
But we
call
have-
me and
we
I'll
have
teach you how to hit a shot.
Well,
some
you know, I
drainage
think-
and-
I think
and all
the
those things, but you
pros-
have to adapt.
Well, I think the pros sometimes shoot for the sand because they come out of sand like we're doing a 6-inch putt.
Well,
I prefer to hit out of a bunker than I do chipping around the greens.
Yeah.
So if I'm on a par 5 or a short par 4, my goal is to hit into the bunker.
Sure.
Because I'm more comfortable hitting out of that because I can set up my feet and I can already tell what the sand's like.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you do.
So keep in mind too. So when the pros play a course, they will be out in the morning, hand watering the bunkers. They'll be wetting the sand down to get it to a certain moisture content. So we don't do that.
Yeah. Not
So you should. When I get into a bunker, I dig my feet in, and I know exactly how far I'm going to hit behind the ball. I know what I'm going to do. I have to, how hard I have to lift the ball. I know everything I'm going to do, and if it doesn't go the way I want, I don't go to Matt and say, these bunkers suck.
Yeah.
You know who sucks? Me.
Yeah.
Because I knew
That's
what I
right.
had to do.
Buy a mirror.
And you've been
Yeah.
playing golf for however many years, you should know what you have to do. And if you don't, take a lesson and figure it out.
That's when you call me.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean,
All right, let's get out of the sand trap. What do we got here?
Oh, you got this, baby.
We
Oh,
heard
you
this
even
is
got
the
the
oldie
other
but
way.
Goldie, but it's going to be
Oh,
Gandhi.
it's not really Goldie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, what, 30 years old.
God.
It's been a good machine. You know, we don't really have a ton of use for that setup. This is kind of a construction type setup with the backhoe in the back and the loader. You know, we use it to load our top dresser and to load material in the back of carts, but you know, we're a maintenance operation. We're not a construction outfit, so we're able to use something like this for 30 years. You know, but that is past its useful life for us. I find our older stuff, you know, we use it and it's like, oh, we'll keep going. It's working great. It's still working. Then all of a sudden, it's like there's too many things wrong with this. It's got to go.
It's like a car, yeah.
So we, you know, had it in our budget and had it on our schedule to replace. And fortunately, we're going to be voting on that in a couple of weeks. Okay. So that's our backup fairway mower.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a golf course that was sold, and he was kind of getting rid of that machine.
worked out.
Actually, you know how you were on the committee with me. We always talk about getting rid of equipment. It's got to be gone by 4,000 hours, right?
Right.
That has just over 5,000. And we basically got it for free.
But it's still good backup.
It's still a backup. Yeah. And we'll have, you know, those. We got a machine that everything is interchangeable with our new machine.
Oh,
so if we have an issue, we can just pick something off of that, or we can, you know, like I said, take that other machine out of service and use this one.
It's almost like a utility, yeah. Okay, I think we can finish up. This is it. What do we got here?
It's a deep tine aerator.
Yeah.
So we run that over the greens and it'll penetrate 6-7 inches. And then when it goes in, it has like those tines have like a little kicking action, which will help to fracture and loosen the soil as long as there's the right moisture content in the soil for fracturing. So yeah, it goes in and kind of helps to relieve compaction. And then we'll usually run those little 1/4-inch spikes over that because that creates, those are 1/2-inch tines. We also have 3/4-inch tines that we put in that. And that will, we fracture the soil, get rid of all the compaction, then we run the other aerator over the top to kind of close the holes in a little bit because that has 12 tines over, looks like a 60-inch swath. The other one has 60 tines over a 48-inch swath.
Oh, wow.
Right, so a lot of smaller holes to push everything together, then we roll it, and it does a pretty good job of kind of covering up what we did with this, which this is a great tool. This is tremendous for rooting. You know, I do a lot of service work at other golf courses, and this is one of the things that I do.
Well, thank you. That's a great course in behind the scenes. What happens to get this course ready? And now, Matt, we're coming into the season. What do we got to look forward to here at Westborough? What's going to happen? Do we have a date? What are we looking forward to?
Never have a set date. It always just is weather dependent. You know, once we get to the point where, you know, we're confident that we can open up and not do a lot of damage to the golf course, then we'll open up and we'll start the season. You know, we have a lot on deck this year. We're going to be doing a lot of junior programs, a lot of kind of growing the game programs that's going to be going to the golf course a lot during the summer. So there's a lot of things to get excited about.
Well, here we have the course, and we can just take a look at it. The first hole is just even with the parking lot going up. Any pluses and minuses for maintaining any of these holes, Mike, that you can say, well, this one's harder? Or you get up to the top of the first hole, people don't realize that there is the top of the hill, probably the top of the course. It's probably more wind have more wind, more sun. Does that take more maintenance than maybe some of the other holes because of where it's located, or
The first hole in particular?
Yeah,
Because of the wind
first
and
and the
sun?
fifth.
Sure,
There.
sure.
Because you're right up
That's a
on top
great
there.
photo, by the way. It looks awesome.
That is. That is really.
Although I wish you had told me you were going to take it, I would have made sure we swept up all those pine needles underneath the trees.
There's a thing called Photoshop. Maybe.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
come
like
through
a
for
little
you.
green marker.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
No
exactly.
problem.
Just color that
Anyway,
in.
yeah. Well, you can see actually to the right there some of the dry spots in the rough.
Yeah.
As a result of the dry summer. So does that require more work because it's exposed to the wind and sun? I would say it requires less work.
Oh, really?
Grass likes sun.
Yeah.
And it likes wind because it dries it out.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
it's
can
just
always
the opposite.
add
Yeah.
more water.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are times on a really hot, windy day when I'll have to be kind of careful with those areas, but not really. The biggest pain in the butt on the first green is that pine. So you got the smaller spruce, and you used to have 2 pines. We took one of them down because it was shading the 5th green too much in the fall.
Yeah.
We left the one on the left, but that really should come down. I would love to get rid of that tree. It just the predominant wind comes across, and it just blows pine needles onto that green. So, any other challenges? Let's see. The challenges is really the size of the greens. The second green that we're coming up to right now,
Up on the right.
that was always extremely small and undulated, and it also kind of sat at the bottom of a little undulation as well. So it would collect water, and it was a very small green. Tremendous challenge to manage. So we, back in 2010, pretty much just about doubled the cupping space on that green. We added about 50%, maybe about 65% to the square footage of the green by going back and to the right. But effectively, it doubled our cupping space. So that green has been great since we expanded it.
I know back when they said to help greens, get rid of the trees. You need more aeration.
Sure.
Of course, we've got trees galore there. I don't know who
We've-
owns the trees, or is it not cost effective to take them down? Or
Cut.
Yeah. Let's move on.
We've definitely taken down as many trees as we can around those
yeah.
greens too. And actually, when he gets to the third green.
There we go. Go ahead up there.
So this is the third hole. It's great.
On the right.
Great
Yeah.
hole.
I wish we could see that
as we
lake
stop. If
more
we stop
from the
here.
golf course.
Yeah, I know. On the left, we used to have trees growing up pretty tall. And sometimes as superintendent, you just don't, you look at shade patterns and trying to help, increase the sunlight on a green. But I was with an old-time superintendent who was selling product, but great guy. And I was like, I'm still struggling with this green a little bit. We expanded it. It got a lot better. And he's like, just, outsider's viewpoint. He's like, Mike, look at this. And there was just a bunch of trees that were blocking the predominant, airflow, the predominant wind coming off. So,
Okay, well, we're going to finish up.
Baseball stuff. So.
Let's finish up here. We have the course. I think we got some beautiful shots here. But coming up, we have a new program here in Westborough, I think, for youngsters. And Matt, if you could talk about that and what we're doing here,
my gosh.
and then we'll have a demonstration. Matt, you want to lead into what we're doing, and then
Yeah, so it's a golf in schools program. So I've met with the gym teachers in the middle school and elementary schools. It's a program I've run before, introducing golf at a young age, and it's called SNAG. It's called Start New at Golf. It's all color coded and very easy to follow for the kids. It's very easy for the gym teachers to teach. It can be indoors and outdoors, so you can do it all year. It's a great program. It's something I'm a big believer in, and hopefully in the springtime we'll start the program up. The schools already had their curriculum set up for a while, so once they get an opening, then we'll start in the schools. But I'm going to be doing a bunch in the summertime as well.
okay, well, let's take a peek at some of the
Break into
tools that we
dodgeball
have.
time.
Yeah,
We'll take
you
a-
can. I'll put you in the suit and let everyone hit balls at you.
There you go. Make a lot of
people
money.
might
Okay,
like
let's
that
take a peek.
I guarantee we could raise a lot of money.
Let's take a peek at the program
Pay
that
for
we
that
have
tractor.
and the tools that Matt has. Okay, Paul McGrath and Matt Griffith here at the Westborough Golf Course on probably the coldest day of the year. So we are inside at the Pro Shop, and we're going to look at some of the equipment that we have for the curriculum in the Westborough school system. So Matt, let's take a look. I don't know what the best thing to start with here. You've got a wall, a cadre of equipment and items to use to help teach our Westborough students some golf.
Well, I think the good thing to start off with is just basically the clubs themselves. So we have 3 lengths of golf clubs that will cover anyone from elementary school to an adult. These are called launchers because we launch the ball. They are for chipping, pitching, and the half swing that we'll go over in the program. We never really do any full swings. It's all half swings. Everything's color coded. So if you look at the grip of the club, you're going to see yellow and red lines. So when we teach kids to take the grip, you don't really care about what grip, whether it's, overlap, interlock. You want to teach them left thumb on yellow, right thumb on red.
It's color-coded.
Yes.
We're color-coded,
Yep,
yeah.
so all color-coded to exactly what we want the kids to do. Then depending on their height, we fit them to a club. So those are the launchers. Then we have the rollers, which are basically just putters.
Oh, yeah.
Really big, oversized putters. I don't even think you could miss one of these.
You're going a lot, you're saying a lot there. Appreciate it. Now, what about a grip on a putter? Because everybody's got different types of grips of putters. What do you recommend?
To start, we're still doing the same. We do right on red, left on yellow for the putter.
Just the basic, yep.
Yeah.
And
So
learn the motion.
yeah, exactly. So every grip is going to be different once they get a little bit older. We just want to go with basic kind of stuff.
Which is not my grip. Okay.
That's nobody's grip. So from there, we have a bunch of different tools that we use to teach the game of golf and let the kids have fun. That's the number one.
So these all go, yeah. And
Yeah,
just
so
to
these are
give
all
an
the little
idea,
clubs.
This could be mine. I mean, this is how young the kids are going to be. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even use this, and I'm pretty small. So what age
I mean,
group?
you're talking elementary school.
This is
So,
elementary,
first, second, third grade. It all depends. Some kids are going to be taller, some are shorter. So
Yeah.
that's why we have a big variety of different kinds of clubs that we can use.
And what's the age group that we're going to be?
It's all going to be middle school to elementary school. So younger
That's good,
kids.
yeah.
But with the larger clubs, the red series is I can even do adult classes with these, which I'm probably going to be doing here at the club over the summer. Some starting new at golf clinics, because this is what this whole program is called. It's called SNAG, Start New at Golf, SNAG.
Well, that's where it is to get the motor memory, I believe.
Oh, no
Right
question.
there.
And a lot of the whole thing about Snag is having fun. You don't want to come out here and be miserable for 4 hours. That's not fun for everybody. So we're going to do a lot of things, not even with the school department, but with a rec program in here at the club for juniors all throughout the summer as well. We're going to use these and have little clinics on the putting green. These right here are to build little courses that you can use like out by the putting green.
Right.
I'll have a course on the putting green and then 2 chipping holes, so to speak, so that little kids can come out and kind of get the feeling. And
So is that the flag? Is that basically?
yeah, that's basically the hole.
The hole. Okay.
Yeah, so we would set up a tee box and set up a hole. You start the whole process by hitting off of one of our launch pads.
Otherwise known as a tee.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because
Because-
you can use this indoors or outdoors.
I said, yeah.
Everything you'll notice has alignment tools to kind of show the kids exactly how to line up. Even the balls have the alignment. So you want to make sure the arrows are always going where you want the ball to end up. So that's another visual key on how to set up to the golf ball. You'll see with the launchers, the middle of the club is very large. You can definitely see where you want to hit the ball. It's just about the size of the actual, the snag ball themselves. So again, it's all color, it's bright, easy to see. And again, it helps the kids. And then we have some other tools that we use. We have the big target that we use for different games. So everything is based on Velcro. So you can do point structures and many different games is how we want to get the kids to have fun and not just sit there.
Oh, so not just get it bang and bang. It's just okay. You do this and it goes to the third.
Right. Everything has a point.
So how far back do you take it for the 30?
Yeah, and depending on where we are, how far back we go, everything kind of is all Velcro. Now this is the most fun one in my
So
opinion.
to me, this looks like you're getting ready to ride the Kentucky Derby. Now, what is this?
So this is for anyone who's involved in the program, whether it's a teacher. If you want to jump in it one day out here, I can sell money. People can hit stuff at you. That's great.
That'd be a great fundraiser. I think that's a good idea, man.
Actually, I do have an idea for that one, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
But this, just like with everything else, the instructor wears the suit. There are pants that go with it.
Yeah.
But again, it's all Velcro, so the kids try to hit the targets on the instructor. And you've been to a range, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah.
What's the number one thing people always want to do at a range?
hit the ball a mile.
No.
No?
Hit the range picker.
Well, that guy too, yeah. Unless you know him, yeah.
That's the number one thing people always try to do. Trust me, I've been in there and I've been hit so many times it's not funny.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, well, I know. It's a long list, Paul. Long list. But this is something that you can do just, again, an ounce of fun, making sure you wrap in the fundamentals of the game with having...
So I would put that on, like the gym teacher?
Yeah, gym teacher, yeah, anything. You know, if I'm doing it out here, I might put one on, somebody who's helping, put one of the high school kids in it.
Hit the principal, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you wanted to do with a program like this, you can do it. And then there's a couple other tools that we have that, again, are also visual and great thing to use. So again, right-handed golfer, it's still with the colors. So right on yellow, left on red. This is called the Snag-a-Zoo. So the Snag-a-Zoo is designed to try to get your swing in the right positions, which, as golfers, none of us really do. So with the Snag-a-Zoo, we take our grip, kind of take our stance, and our goal, whenever we're teaching golf to the kids, is we want to push it back and then make an L. And once we make that L, we hear that sound. If I do this, it doesn't really do it. So it's push it back, make an L.
Get to the motor memory again.
Yep, exactly. Gets that really in kind of a tune. Then we have somebody tied a knot.
You look like a cheerleader or a flag bearer.
Well, when it gets cold enough. So this is called the Snag Snapper. This is a drill that actually I do with many adults, getting their impact right at the bottom. So as we swing, we want to hear that snap. If you hear it too soon, too late, or not at all, then you're not hitting.
When do you want to hear it?
Right at the bottom.
Right at impact.
Yeah, right at that moment. You're brave enough to try it?
Well, we can edit this.
Yeah. No, just a normal swing. Yeah, but obviously that's not the length of your normal club.
Okay.
And then just swing. There you go.
Snapped, I don't know.
It didn't snap as, we had some room to
Well,
work
snapped
on.
anyway.
Yeah, but it wasn't loud enough. We can work on it.
Winter, I haven't had shut.
I'm sure that's a good excuse.
Best I got.
So those are a couple different things that we use in order to make things visual and auditory for the kids. Because there are three ways that everyone learns: visual, auditory, or physically doing it.
Right.
So that just brings in all of them with one program.
How about the circle of life here?
So the circle is where we have the kids stand when we're doing a drill, and then depending what we are working on. So if we're using the rollers and we want to teach the kids where the golf ball's at 6, and we don't want to take it back too far, and so we take it back from blue to blue, or we take it back 7 to 5. It's just a way that we can limit the swing
and get the
and
motor
it's
memory
visual.
there. Yep.
Again, I'll do this a lot of times with adults. I'll put tees in the ground to kind of show them where the club should go, but this is actually even better. It's a great tool.
Okay, well, I think these are all great tools. Again, through the grant, and it will be in the school curriculum.
Yes.
And hopefully we're going to have a lot of young golfers out here.
In the
And
pipeline.
maybe hopefully their parents might enjoy it too.
Yes,
Because
and that's the plan.
there is competition in golf, but there is a sociability, and it's fun.
Yes.
So it can go both ways.
I agree 100%.
And hopefully this is going to bring that along.
Yep, that's the point.
Okay.
That's the major goal.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yep, you got it, Paul.
Okay, well, there you have it. We have Matt Griffith, PGA Pro at Westborough Golf Course, and we have Mike Hightower, Head Superintendent. I think we're ready for a good year, boys. Are we ready to go?
I'm
ready.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Ready
thanks
to go June 1st.
Okay. We'll be ready before that. Well, thanks for coming on the sidelines. And this is Paul McGrath saying, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the game. And if you're not in the game or on the course, I hope to see you on the sidelines, or maybe on the course.